right, happy July, everybody. It's getting ready to cool down here in Fort Worth any day now. Welcome to Cowboys Overtime here on StarTelegram.com, sponsored by Window Nation. I am Fort Worth Star-Telegram columnist Mac Engel. I'm joined by my good friend who was on vacation and dumb enough to join me on this even though he is on vacation. Clarence, how was vacation? You look really good these days, by the way. How's vacation?
Can't stop, won't stop. I just came back from Florida. I had a big vacation in Florida. Actually, I went to a fraternity convention. I got my 40-year pin.
Wow.
Being a 40-year member of the fraternity and had a great week. A lot of times with my friends and frat brothers, and we had a great time in Florida. And
where in Florida
got back last night. Huh?
Where in Florida did you go?
We're in Tampa.
Are there any stories that you can tell us or share, or is that all?
It's all a blur. It was just a great time, bonding and celebrating and tearing down the streets of Tampa. Ybor City will never be the same. I think Tampa's kind of crooked right now, but
Tampa's crooked.
It's crooked right now. But we had a great time. Got back last night. I'm on fumes, but I'm here for you, man.
Oh, well, that's very nice of you. Last week we missed you. We had a special guest fill in, Sam Gannon of Fox 4 in Dallas, KDFW. And the overwhelming response was she was an upgrade. Don't shoot the messenger. I'm just telling you what the fans said. So we'll deal with it. There was a massive.
She looks better
than both of us. That's true.
Yes.
Well, at least one of us. I'm not going to say who. Let's focus on the task at hand, which is NBA free agency has started. And unbelievably, the Mavericks have signed a free agent, a good one, who wasn't already slated to come here. This is a miracle. One of the best three-point shooters in the history of basketball chose to sign with the Dallas Mavericks rather than go to his dad's team, the LA Lakers. Klay Thompson, part of the dynasty Golden State Warriors, has been acquired by the Mavericks in a sign and trade. They give up Josh Green to get him and like 78 second-round picks. He signs a 3-year, $85 billion deal. Clarence, Klay Thompson is as big of an offseason free agent ad as this team has ever had. Does this give them, the Mavericks, does this make them the favorites to repeat as Western Conference champions? Yes or no?
How do you know I can't answer yes
or
no?
You can't. You can't because you're a coward.
No, I'm not a coward, okay? I just got common sense. It's just not that easy. It's not that cut and dry.
But no question. You're
but the facts are that he does upgrade the Mavs in the area that they needed, that showed up in the finals. That lack of three-point shooting from other guys, lack of shot making. And yes, this is not prime Klay. This is old Klay. Let's not get it twisted. This is not like Paul George chose the Mavericks. This is an old Klay who was choosing between who coming off a shooting performance in his playoff series with Golden State, but he's still a better three-point shooter than anybody the Mavs have. And he does give them that veteran option, and he plays good defense. This is an upgrade. This is certainly guaranteed to have a shot to contend and come back next year.
Clarence Hill, Fort Worth Star-Telegram, refuses to comment whether or not the Dallas Mavericks will repeat as Western Conference champions. More on this later. Klay Thompson signs a 3-year deal. You mentioned this is not prime Klay when he was one of the top 5, top 10 players in the league. In my mind, when you give hockey, this relates to hockey as well. When you give a 34-year-old guy a contract like this, you give him 3 years, you're really giving him, you're expecting one. Like if you get one really good year out of him, then that makes up for the addition. This works as long as he is a catch and shoot player and they don't make him and don't ask him to be what Golden State needed him to be to retain their status at the top of the West. And if Kyrie Irving and Luka Doncic are creating plays and creating space, and Klay Thompson is just a catch and shoot guy, this is a great ad. And I think for 1 year, for this year, to me, this is a 1-year team because of Kyrie's age and Klay's age. But man, Clarence, Klay Thompson, Luka Doncic, and Kyrie Irving on the same team, forget it. This will be as much fun as we've ever had watching any Mavs team.
No question, no question. You have to be excited. I know there's this thought process that he wanted to play with Luka. Well, he wanted to play with Kyrie. Kyrie and him are on or I think it's whatever the shoe brand is, Kyrie.
Oh yeah.
To play with Kyrie here and got him here, really reached out to him, and certainly Luka's a big part of it. But as we move on, it's a great sign because historically the Mavericks have not gotten players to come here. They've not gotten free agents to come here, and to get back-to-back years. Kyrie chose the Mavericks over the Lakers. Let's be honest about the last year and off. He could have went elsewhere. This year, Clay chose the Mavericks over playing with LeBron and the Lakers. Suddenly, the Mavericks, thanks to Nico Harrison, which has been a godsend, what Nico has done, what Mark Cuban did, hiring Nico as a GM, what he's done to remake this team. You saw the trades in the middle of the season last year. Yep. He was behind the decision to get Kyrie. And the magic he's done this offseason, moving out Tim Hardaway and bringing in, and certainly losing Derrick Jones, but they upgraded. This team is better now, unlike the Cowboys. This Mavericks team is better now than they were at the end of the season. Imagine that. They're better now.
Hang on. When it comes to the Cowboys, you just got to let the leaves fall. Okay?
I understand. Oak trees are falling. They still don't.
Well, I think they're not falling. I think they're collapsing. You mentioned Nico Harrison. This guy had been a Nike executive for almost 20 years. And he knew all these guys really since they were kids, teenagers in the AAU circuit, and they were high-profile players. And that's where Nico met him. And he had been an in-demand quantity for a long time. And he could have done this for a while. And he chose the Mavericks. And of all the things Mark Cuban did, there's a lot of bad things he did, a lot of good things he did. Hiring this guy was a really shrewd move because he had the foresight to recognize that player acquisition was going to come down to relationships and who knows whom. And this is a player-driven league, more so than any of the other major leagues. The players and their agents are driving the play of these moves. So when they've done now for a few off seasons in a row, because Mark Cuban back in 2011, Clarence, was the smartest guy in the room, and I understand the salary cap, and no one's smarter than I am, and we can't go over the threshold. And he was like, we're going to sign DeAndre Jordan. We're going to go after Chris Paul. We're going to go after Dwight Howard. We're going to go after an in his prime Darren Williams. They got none of them. Right. And they always did get the sort of the second tier free agent.
Right.
Wes Matthews, Chandler Parsons. They did okay, but they never got this guy. They always had to get that guy through a trade. And they got Porzingis through a trade. Then they kept him. Then they got Kyrie through a trade. They kept him. Now they get Clay. And Clay's coming pretty much as I know it was a sign and trade, but this was a free agent. But there's part of this. You said one thing that I thought was interesting. Klay Thompson's dad, Michael Thompson, played with the LA Lakers for a long time. He's a broadcaster there, and he made it no secret. He wanted his son to finish his career with the Lakers. That was his hope. And Klay's his own man, and he didn't want to go with the Lakers. And and I understand Clay has a relationship with Kyrie and they're buddies, and that's fine. But to me, there's an underlying story here that is very significant. Is that top NBA players, Kyrie, who knows and played with LeBron, won a title with him, and now Clay have both said, I think I would rather run with Luka than with LeBron. And to me, that says a lot because we had never seen it. Dirk was great. Guys weren't signing because of Dirk. He wasn't a free agent recruiter. It was a different era of the NBA. But guys want to run with Luka, and that says a lot.
Right. And this Luka, and this Nico, and it's all of that. But let's be honest, and we're going. Yes, I don't think people want to play with LeBron at this point because they know when it fails, it's going to be their fault, not LeBron's fault.
Do you think so? You don't think? Do you think so? Like if they added Klay Thompson. And they're just flame out again like they've done.
It's going to be everybody's fault but LeBron. It's always everybody's fault but LeBron. Okay, but the bigger story here for me is that we were here when Cuban bought the team. I was here when Cuban bought the team, and he was a young, cool, rich owner, and there was a thought process. You remember when he first bought the team, and he bought everybody had all their lockers and everything. They had all the state art, everything, and there was this thought process that. Kids, these young guys are wanting to play with the cool Mark Cuban. He's young, relate to players. They never came. They never came. Okay. But now that's why it's so significant because the Mavericks historically have never gotten a prize free agent. People didn't want to come. But Dallas is a cool city. It's middle of the country. It's low income tax. You can get anywhere, but they never came.
Never.
Now they're coming. Because of Nico, certainly because of Luka, because of Kyrie, whatever the reason, they're coming. It's a new day.
It's a new day.
Where creators are choosing to come here.
It's all of that. And we're seeing what guys really want to do. They want to go to places because the money's insane everywhere.
Yes.
They want to go to places where they have a shot to win, where
right.
they can be competitive. They don't want to go to Detroit. They don't want to go to LA right now. For the longest time, that's where their players were going, were the coastal cities and giant markets. You've got top guys now signed with Milwaukee because they want to play with Giannis. You've got guys coming to Dallas. And you're right, all the things, I mean, you and I both heard it for years, but the one thing Mark really misread was that he could change the Mavericks into the Lakers, and he couldn't. Well, now, after all this time, effort, and energy, and Mark is really no longer running the team at all, his influence and stake in the team will continue to lessen dramatically. It already has. But that is one thing we've seen now the Mavericks can do. If you build it and they are good, they will come. All right, we've got a lot more to talk about here on Cowboys Overtime. But first, a word from our good friends, Window Nation. What you got?
Window Nation, the star of window replacement and proud partner of the Dallas Cowboys, can help you fill the house this season with savings. Buy 2 windows, get 2 free, and make no interest payments for 60 months, 5 full years. Fill your house for a customized authentic Dallas Cowboys jersey while supplies last. You could even help fill the Cowboys house and win tickets to a game. Visit windownation.com/Cowboys now for details. Call 866-95-NATION. Window Nation, proud partner of the Dallas Cowboys.
Woo! Clarence, wake up.
I'm good, baby. I'm good.
Are you sure? Okay.
Yeah, I'm good.
Well, I know you had a hard week. Burned down Tampa. Thanks, Window Nation. Mac Engel, Clarence Hill, Star Telegram. What are we? Cowboys Overtime. First week of July. It's hotter than hell. And I don't know why we keep complaining about it, but we are. This is a story now that I really wish you had been here last week. I should have written about it because I loved it. So last week, we had a war between 2 Cowboys defenders in the podcast world. Dallas Cowboys safety Malik Hooker took to a podcast to complain about Micah Parsons' podcasting career. Now, this has been quietly, subtly complained about by members of the organization, some other people who are kind of noticing that Micah was maybe spending a little too much time talking and using his available time to have fun in the podcast world rather than doing other things. So Malik Hooker basically called him out on it. I'll be interested to see how this is handled in a few weeks when the Cowboys convene in Southern California for training camp. Clarence, I think you and I both knew something had been brewing on this for a while. What do you think prompted the Malik Hooker to be the one to come out and say, hey, man, number 11, I love you. You're great. You got to knock this off.
I mean, first of all, when you're not winning, people complain. I was going to say the B word, but there's being complaining. Okay, that's
which word is that, Clarence?
Being complaining. Female dog and complaining. Okay, that's what they do. That's what they do. Bill Parcells had a thing in the locker room. Losers being complaining. They huddle in corners and they being complaining.
So okay, we know that.
Huh?
But we know that.
I mean, that's what happens. And so that's part of the whole dichotomy.
Is Malik Hooker wrong?
He's not wrong, but Mike is not wrong. Nothing Mike is doing is taking away from his play on the field.
It's not criminal.
But when you don't
win,
teammate.
Let me finish. You call him a Clarence. You said it here. I think you wrote it too. If you didn't write it, I think you maybe did. Yeah. You called him out on it, and you were
let me finish.
Because you talk about leadership or you're a great player, that doesn't mean you are leading, and that there's a hole there for him to fill up. And maybe it's not in his DNA, but you were right to say that because I think you were right.
So what I'm saying is as you gonna let me finish here.
Well, I don't know. We'll see.
It's all about perception, and so when you lose, perception matters. When the Cowboys, perception matters. And when you're not winning, everything gets nitpicked. Everything you do gets nitpicked. How do you, go to, everything, everything with that, everything you do on the field and off the field when you're not winning is nitpicked. And so you open yourself up to nitpicking when you do things outside the game that has nothing to do with winning and losing or with your team. And so listen, you can't question Michael on the field. Okay, Michael plays hard. He's at the top level. Everybody played at the level of Michael, winning awards and finishing top 3 in MVP, Defensive Player of the Year balloting. They'd probably be better off. But the bottom line is, you are that, and you do talk about this. You bring this stuff on yourself because you say, I'm going to lock in. Are we going to lock in? So we're going to lock in, and we're going to change the culture, and we're going to lock in and do this, and then you go off somewhere else.
That.
Okay? And as a defender, I don't care if you're a pass rusher, but when you run defense, and that's what Malik was talking about, when you run defense horrendous, and you're really not a good run defender because people run at you, that's some of your work. That's some of your work.
Clarence, let me ask you about you, because you brought up a really good point. This guy's great. Micah's great. How often because we have seen times, especially there are certain cornerbacks on this team who got targeted. We saw last year a couple times people were targeting number 11 in the run game. I'm going to put you on the spot here, and if you don't know it, that's fine, but I'm going to put you on the spot. If a team ran the ball 25 times, how many times do you think they deliberately said, go with that guy because he can't handle it?
I don't know because the middle was janky too. Okay.
Yeah, right.
The middle was the jankiest. Okay.
Was it the worst?
Yes. Go back to the Green Bay game. They ran right up the middle.
But okay? In fairness, they were all.
You have no middle. You have no linebackers. You got small linebackers. They targeted the linebackers more than anything. I will tell you this though, just from a football standpoint.
Yeah.
Always run at the pass rusher. The best pass rush, you want to weaken his legs. You want to stop him from pass rushing. So you always run it. I don't care if it's going to Marcus Blair, all that, you're going to run at the pass rusher.
Absolutely.
Okay? Yep. So that's anyway, you want to run at the pass rusher. But the thing about it is, it's funny because Micah came back at him. Do you remember when Micah came back at him?
Yeah.
He said, it's interesting, you're going to criticize me on a podcast.
He's right.
You never said this to my face.
Look, both guys are right in this one.
Okay, you're going to criticize me on the podcast, right. But you just say this to my face, okay? Want to make you laugh and make you cry. Want to make you laugh and make you cry, okay?
What do you think? How do you think this plays out?
Well, this is the first time a teammate has publicly called out Mike.
Right, but
so this has to be managed.
But how do you think really this will play itself out? It doesn't matter in training camp. Those guys are pros. They're not going to do anything until week 1 of the regular season. My question to you is, what has to happen for this to become a problem? Because I think this could become a problem narrative if this defense and this team gets off to a slow start.
Well, that's Zimmer's job. I don't think it will become a problem because you know what? You don't have to like each other to work together. They play, you don't really have to like each other. That's
I know. You and I work with tons of guys who hated you.
Yeah, it's a misnomer, and it sounds good. This chemistry thing, it's funny because Terry Bradshaw and Chuck Noll hated each other. They won 4 Super Bowls.
I know.
Okay, so this whole the coach and the quarterback. No, they don't. Not if you just play, win, do your job, do your job. You do it. If everybody does their job, it doesn't matter what you like the guy next to you.
Well, it also helps if you're Terry Bradshaw to be surrounded by like 11 other Hall of Famers.
Exactly, but do your
really
job.
Helps. Yeah, but no, you're right.
He did his job.
Fair point. And you can say that a lot. I mean, I remember Larry Bird talking about that. I mean, it does help if guys like each other. It does. But at the end of it, what really matters, and I remember talking to baseball players who play with Barry Bonds. Like, no one really liked Barry. They all hated Jeff Kent because Jeff Kent hated everybody. He just was an antisocial guy. But everybody in that room knew, I can't be here, and we can't do what we want to do without that guy. And as long as he shows up and he's producing, I can deal with it. And I think ultimately that's what this comes down to, don't you?
There's no question about that. I mean, look at Lawrence Taylor. You can't tell me everybody, Carl Banks, agreed with Lawrence Taylor's lifestyle and things he did outside the game. And I listen, and we love Michael Irvin, and Troy Aikman loves Michael Irvin. You cannot tell me Troy Aikman loved the things, the distractions that Michael Irvin brought to that locker room and to that team. But he respected the hell out of him and knew when it was time to play, Michael Irvin was going to be on that field and give his all. And that's all you can ask. And so for the Cowboys, just win, baby. All this stuff goes away. All the being complaining, all the female dogging complaining, goes away. Just win, baby.
So bring me another 12-5 with the first round wild card playoff loss. Okay, so viewers, listeners, every week when we do this, Clarence normally 9 times out of 10 comes up with the topics. Every now and then I'll do it, but usually this is Clarence's work. And I got to tell you, this next one, I know we got to talk about it. There are no contracts yet for CeeDee Lamb and Dak Prescott. I don't think you have signed your contract either, Clarence, yet. You and I are in the same deals. CeeDee Lamb, will he show up to training camp?
Not without a deal. Not without a deal. There's no question about that.
Dak Prescott, will he show up without a deal?
Oh, there's no question. Dak's showing up.
Okay. Let's look. Michael Parsons, will he show up?
Michael's showing up. CeeDee is
so
the one.
CeeDee Lamb, so will they get it done? We've seen it. Zach Martin sat out last year. Now, I was fined $8 million. Somehow they magically waived that. If you had to be a betting man, CeeDee gets this done the day before the start of training camp or in the second week.
Well, they're far apart right now. And so
why?
Why ask why I drink Bud Dry? Remember that commercial? I don't know. Remember those jingles? Sometimes you get those.
Yes.
Where you go? Where did you go?
Shoot, sorry. I hit my thing.
You remember those jingles from back in the day?
I was laughing and I hit my camera and it pulled the camera the other way. Sorry about that. Sorry, Candy, I didn't go away. Okay, let's try that again. Why ask why? So he'll be signed to a contract. But seriously, Justin Jefferson signed his monster deal. Everybody's getting money if you're a wide receiver, unless you're T. Higgins. Jamar Chase is going to get $3.4 trillion. Why are the Cowboys waiting on this? The money, it's right there.
They're trying to. They're hoping for whatever reason. It's just mind-boggling to me. They want everybody to take less. They want everybody to not take the market value. You know, listen, I got to pay this guy, so you need to take less so I can pay Micah and Dak. Hey, Dak, you need to take less so I can pay CeeDee and Micah. They want everybody to do their jobs for them. As Marcus Lawrence once said, that's a you problem. You decide to own a team.
Damn right.
That's a you problem. You decide to own a team. You decide to be a team owner. Everybody else gets it done. The Cowboys, as I like to tell people, it's funny to me because the Cowboys don't discount parking. The park is still $100. They don't discount season tickets. They don't discount them $15 beers, but yet they want the players to take less money. They get market value on everything they do when they're the ones asking for the money. And
you know what? And I know the attitude is I interviewed a Cowboys cheerleader the other day. She was on the squad for 7 years. And I'm like, there's nobody I can think of that got a raw end of the deal. That's not a word, but I just made it up. Than Cowboys cheerleaders, right? Because nobody knows who they are. And the Cowboys leverage the popularity of their brand and the star to basically...
That's what they do.
They do. And then their attitude is, okay,
you're working for the Cowboys.
You work for the Cowboys. You're worth more than the player who signs to Jacksonville. And your attitude is right. The agent's attitude is right. That's not my problem. If that guy got X, I'm getting X, probably with a Y too. Because you and I both know this notion that just because you play with the Cowboys, you're making all this money from all these other spots. No, you're not. Unless you're the quarterback. Because how many endorsement deals do we really see from NFL players? Not many. No, because they don't show their face. They don't get all that. So, it's just interesting to me that they want players to do that. And from a Dak Prescott standpoint, from his agent standpoint, they're not doing right by the NFL brethren. They're not doing right by other quarterbacks by lowering the floor for the position. Yep, that's exactly right. So that's not right. They're not being a good steward for the NFLPA and their teammates by taking less money. And what frustrates me is fans always side with billionaires, always side with the owners and call the players greedy. No, there's no one more greedy than the owners and the Cowboys who maximize value and get paid on everything they do. Agree. You've got 5 years to make a lifetime's worth of money. Right. Go get it today. Jerry's been making money since '89. There's one big thing that I think fans don't realize. And in fairness to fans, look, when I covered Major League Baseball and I was covering lockout stuff and I covered the National Hockey League and I was covering all that stuff, my attitude about this went through a shift when I was going through that. I'm like, wait a minute. Now, it doesn't mean I agree with what the union's doing all the time, but I would definitely say I have more in common with CeeDee Lamb than I do with Jerry Jones. And I have nothing in common with CeeDee Lamb. I have nothing. But as an employee, I have more in common with him than with the employer. And it's nothing against anybody, but you go get what you can get right now. And one thing that I know you've learned it, and it's worth sharing, there is this misnomer that players get mad at other players who are trying to get money. No, that's not true. They might get mad at management, but I've never met a player who held it against another player for trying to get the bag. No, they all know the score.
And that's one reason why Clay's in Dallas, because Golden State wouldn't pay him. He's mad. He was a bad teammate last year. If you look at the stories,
he was.
Because everything he did for Golden State and helping to win those titles, the management did not make a priority to keep him. And so he's going to be a motivated player in Dallas. But before we get out of here, I just want to let you know, Candy put a note in the chat, our private comments, where we're talking about teammates and liking people. She said, when I first got hired, Lena B told me Mac was scary. What did you do to Lena?
Lena Bleach. I don't know, I'm going to ask her about this. So Lena used to work here for a long time, and she and I are friends. She taught to my class at TCU. She works for the Las Vegas Review-Journal now. And I've endorsed her for other jobs. I've vouched for her. I've known her for years. I don't know. This is going to be good. I'll definitely, Candy, you made my month.
I mean, what did you do?
I'm going to have some, I have no idea.
I did say it might have been a joke, though.
No.
She didn't say a joke. She just said, she didn't say ha, ha, ha. She said, Mac is scary.
Mac is scary. And the other thing Candy told me is Clarence is terrifying. Now, last thing we're going to.
No one told you that.
Wait a minute. Why didn't you move? Why are you in a different spot? Last weekend, or last time we talked, you were in your office. The one.
I'm in the same spot. Same spot.
Really? Okay. It looks a little bit different. Okay. Yeah. I don't know if you know this or not. Texas and Oklahoma now are in the SEC. Do you know that? Did you hear about that?
I do know that. They had Texas had a big party. Oklahoma had a little bitty party.
That was pathetic.
Your party was awful.
What Oklahoma did?
Yes.
Yes, that was a joke. It was like Oklahoma was joining the Mountain West or Sun Belt. Meanwhile, the University of Texas has the rager of rager parties.
Oh, they had a rager.
Okay, so we didn't get a chance to talk about this, but we are now. Texas now joins the league where Texas A&M is a conference member again for the first time since.
Yeah, we haven't talked about that.
I know. You and I are gonna have some fun with this. So A&M has the greatest baseball season ever in its history, and it gets all the way to the final series of the College World Series. They got to win 2 out of 3 against Tennessee. They win game 1.
Now, they had the lead in game 2.
Pardon?
They had the lead in game.
Not only that, they had the lead in game 2. They had a 1-run lead in the 7th inning of game 2. They are 9 outs away from their first national championship in baseball, football, or men's basketball since 1939. They go on to lose. They go on to lose game 3. And then their coach decides, you know what? Screw this place. I'm going to Texas. I don't want to say I called it, but I called it. I got a lot of hate for that, by the way. Clarence, in the history of this great rivalry, and I know you're biased because you're a Longhorn, can you remember anything quite like this where UT just absolutely stuck it to A&M like this one? Not only they just grabbed their national championship appearing coach, a week later they joined a conference that A&M did not want them to join, and they have nothing that they can do or say about it. They are powerless.
It was glorious. It was glorious. It was just glorious. You know, there have been coaches that left Texas to go to A&M. That's happened before. You know,
has it really?
Yeah.
I don't even know who. I don't even know.
Yeah, one of the great Texas coaches that actually invented the wishbone went to A&M. Okay. You know, and I think Danex Bible, but you know, and so that has happened before, but nothing like. And the funny thing about it is, Sloss would have left if win or lose. If he'd have won a national championship, he was going to come to Texas.
He was going to leave.
He was coming win or lose. Yep. But to get to that point, it's funny because I was telling A&M is like Charlie Brown with that when Lucy always pulled that football out. You know, like Yeah, we pulled the football out from him again. I mean, it's funny, and not like I said, I love the Aggie jokes and Longhorn jokes and going back and forth. I don't want to live in a world when Aggies and Longhorns and Sooners can't mess with each other. Can't talk trash. That's what Rise 365. Let's stop it.
It's fun. No, but it's fun. It's fun.
But it's fun. Just don't be disrespectful, Mac. That's disrespectful.
What is it? How is this a 15-yard penalty? Is it? So this is what I want to tell you.
Anyway, but it's fun, and we had a glorious time last week there. The thing about it is Aggies, they write their own jokes, and there's some who are prideful. There's some who have that defeatist mentality. I guess we are the little brother. I mean, that was the
yeah. I saw that when I guess we are little brothers.
Oh,
you needed this to know?
Right. There's some that were mad and he's just so classless. He did the same thing at TCU. He told
the same thing to UNLV. Bear Bryant did it.
He said, "I'm never leaving TCU," and he left Brand.
They all do it. And here's what I told my Aggie friends, because I've known Coach Schlossnagle for a long time because he was at TCU, and I like the guy a lot. I do. I genuinely like the guy. And I kind of had a feeling that he was going to leave if that job.
Well, he didn't like living in College Station.
That was the problem. I think not every like Lubbock, Texas is a nice place. It legitimately is, but it's not for everybody. College Station is a nice place, but it's not for everybody.
And it ain't all.
You've got to want that lifestyle. You've got to want that pace. You've got to want that size
And that fan base.
And the fan. Yeah, and the fan. But you know what?
Because he had a problem with the fan base. Like, remember he called out the fan base in a baseball game a couple of years ago.
No, and you're right. But I mean, crazy fan base. And I can't defend, especially some of the stuff that happened in Omaha this year. That was just embarrassing. And he had to apologize for it. Like, he shouldn't have to do that. But yeah, I know he's had problems. And then look, you're going to have problems with crazy fan bases anywhere, and he'll run into his own problems at UT. It's the same, and that way's the same. What I tried to tell Aggie fans was this: I was like, the job's the job. You can win a national championship there. There's like 20 schools in baseball where you can win a national championship. A&M's one of them. They're going to be fine.
Can you?
You can. You spend a ton of money.
1939.
It's pretty. I mean, look,
1939.
If you get to game 2,
that's the craziest stat.
And then nuts.
That they have not won a title. This was the first time they've even played for a title. Been in the final game to play for a title since 1939.
So let me ask you this:
that is for a program, and I don't mean to do this.
No,
for a program that spends as much money as they do, have the fan base they do, have the ego they do, who thinks they're a blue blood. They've never won nothing.
You speaking the truth. And I'm telling you what.
But I love talking trash to them. I got some great friends.
What I was going to ask you.
Great friends that are Aggies.
People are like, oh, I got some just nasty emails.
Oh, I got some.
You hate the Aggies. I'm like, no, everybody thinks I hate their team because I probably do at some point. But with this, it is just a dream of content because of all the reasons that you just said. You've got this school that fancies itself as the Lakers, Cowboys, Yankees, LSU, Alabama, Georgia rolled into one. And they haven't won a major title since.
Yeah, they got money. That's why they spent all that money on Jackie Sherrill. That's
Jimbo.
Jimbo. They historically spend because they want to be that, but they've never won, and it's crazy. But you know, I listen. I don't know. Last week was one for social media. It was. I got nasty mail. The worst thing was this past weekend when Stefan, former coworker who does freelance for us, talked to Slosh. And the Aggies on Twitter was like, well, the Star Telegram is a Texas paper. And Chris Del Conte set that up. No, he didn't. We're not a Texas paper. Have you read the stuff Mac writes about Texas? Yeah. He hates Texas. He never in a positive word about Texas in his life.
Well,
and Stefan doesn't like. I mean, it's not we're more of a TCU paper. We're sympathetic. We're not sympathetic toward Texas.
No, that's true. I've been told that a few times because here's the funny part.
Because Texas fans hate you.
I know. But here's the sad part, Clarence. There's no state in America that loves football more than we do, right? None. We dedicate billions of dollars worth of money towards high schools, training facilities, all this stuff, 7-on-7 camps, blah, blah, blah. We have one national championship combined. Baylor, Tech, TCU, Texas, Texas A&M, all these schools. We have one. Vince Young goes to the corner and he got it.
We got
That's
more
it.
than one. You mean one in the last 30 years? You mean one in 30 years? You mean one in 30 years?
We got one in the modern era.
Okay, I just
No,
we
I
got more
know.
than one.
We're not doing that crap. We're not going to the 60s. We have one. Vince Young's going to the corner and he's got it. That's it.
And what a glorious title it was.
And Longhorn Network signed off with yet another Rose Bowl airing. Okay, we've talked forever. Clarence, was great talking to you. By the way, I lied. I'm going to ask you one quick question. So on Saturday, I drive my daughter. She's 15 to the Doobie Brothers. And the Doobie Brothers are before my time a little bit.
They were great.
No, it was fun. But she was like the youngest person there by 100 years, and I had to write the review of it. What's the youngest? What event, movie, or concert did you ever take one of your kids to that they were like, oh God, Dad, I don't want to watch all these old people?
No, I
Did you ever do that?
I took my oldest daughter to Lauryn Hill because she's a big Lauryn Hill fan. But she
knew Lauryn Hill stuff.
She was in high school though.
Oh, okay.
And I took her to Lauryn Hill. But since we're bringing up this, and I know we're going long, so I'm the greatest dad ever. My youngest daughter, because I got her tickets, or I got blessed with tickets. Let's be honest about this. A friend of mine called me, hey, you want tickets to my God, Megan Thee Stallion tonight? Your daughter, I got 2 tickets for Megan Thee Stallion tonight. Eric will call. So I called my daughter up, my 19-year-old. Hey, you want to go to Megan Thee Stallion? But Dad, me and my friends are going to catch up at CC's Pizza. Girl, this is Megan Thee Stallion. Your friends will understand. Okay? They will understand.
Her reaction was not, yes, I'm there.
Yes. So, because she's like, so the tickets are in the pit.
Oh,
In front of the stage. She's coming, Dad, I'm having the time of my life. She goes on stage with Megan Thee Stallion.
no way.
She's on stage with
Do you have
Megan Thee
pictures of that?
Stallion. Of course, I got pictures and videos, yes. She's on stage with Megan Thee Stallion. And maybe she twerked. See, Dad, I don't want to hear all that.
It's all right now. Who cares? You'll be dad. But here's the deal.
But
Christmas and the birthday, next 10 years, you're done.
This was all last Thursday. Thursday night, she's at Megan Thee Stallion, having the time of her life.
Congratulations. The fact that you got her on stage, like I thought I was dad of the year for getting my daughter a Taylor Swift. And it was the day before her birthday. And she said, hey, Dad, just is there anything else for my birthday? And I gave her a long look. I'm like, honey, this is your birthday for the rest of your life.
Exactly.
So if your daughter, and my favorite part is she almost picked CC's Pizza over twerking live on stage with Megan Thee Stallion.
Listen, my youngest, she's been home for the summer. She goes to work. She's taking a class. She goes to work out. She comes home. I mean, she is so disciplined. I don't even
Just
know
like her dad.
how she is. You know, my oldest daughter is having the time of her life in DC. And it's always, I get her, you know, one thing you'll get, I get her Ubers, and I'm on a location because she wants me to see where she is.
Really?
So it's a blessing and a curse. So I get all of what Jennings ordering the Uber at 3 a.m. and whatever else. So I know where she is, but also know where she is.
All right, we'll talk more about that later. All right, this was a lot of fun. Enjoy the rest of your vacation. The Cowboys go for training camp in a couple weeks. Happy 4th of July, everybody. For all of your coverage needs of everything in the world, check us out on StarTelegram.com. Candy, I'm not that scary. See you next time.